All right, we are live. Thank you everyone for tuning in to this episode with Kiam and Nathanial. Welcome, lads.
Thanks, mate.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we'll start with Nathanial. So, where are you working now?
So I am a technology implementation consultant at a company called Wolters Kluwer. They're an information services company based in the Netherlands. They kind of perform services all over the world. What I'm doing currently is obviously based in Australia. It's essentially, corporate compliance. So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm working with certain banks and financial institutions. So for those in the finance world, they may know of a institution called APRA. So basically, as part of regulation requirements, certain banks and whatnot need to report to APRA with all their financial positions every 3 months, 6 months, a year, depending on the certain type of exposure, and they need to report that on a regular basis. So essentially, my work has a software system called OneSumX, and we use that to automate that reporting. And I've been doing that for almost a year and a half now. I used to work at EY. That's where I started kind of, got my consulting experience, or at least the start of it. And then, I've transitioned over to here somewhat recently.
Fantastic. So that's tech risk consultant at EY and now tech implementation consultant.
Yep, a lot of tech.
Fantastic. And we'll dig into that more. Kiam, where are you working now, and what's your experience so far in the world?
Experience in the world is a lot. So I think I met you in 2019, which is the year I graduated. And then from there went to the Department of Treasury and Finance in SA, did their grad program across a lot of different functions within the Treasury. Then I did a year in Department of Premier and Cabinet in SA. We're working on a whole of government customer experience initiative and transformation. Then from there, I moved to the EY in their business consulting division. So at the moment, I'm on my 4th project, all with defence. That's been really interesting because they're some of the biggest projects in Australia. Can be really complex and of national significance. So that's been really interesting and exciting. So it's been a bit of a journey over the last 4 years.
Sounds like it. Sounds like it's been fun though.
Yeah. It's had its ups and downs. Long weeks and long years, but it's been good and lots of learnings, and really enjoying where I'm at now.
Did you always want to get into the consulting side of things?
Yeah. So definitely out of uni, that was where my mind went to straight away. I'm definitely the type of person that needs a lot of variety in life to keep myself mentally engaged. And I always thought consulting would be that industry where I can get different projects, different industries, different types of work, and like constantly learning new skills. So it was definitely a long-term thought out move, you could say.
Yeah, I remember. It's crazy how long ago it was now. It's like almost 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I remember you were...
Doesn't feel like it.
It doesn't feel like it at all, does it? It's very strange. But you were saying how you really wanted to get into consulting, and you were kind of applying for all those grad programs, and I think you got flown around the country a bit for one of those interviews. So
yeah,
it was definitely a long time coming. This one, I'm curious though. I do kind of know the answer to this, but for the listeners, why jump into the government sector first?
Well, I got offered a few different grad programs. This one was in Adelaide. My degree was commerce, so treasury, finance, and economics. That was definitely a passion area for me. So it was mainly location and type of work that kept me, and that made me choose that program, which was a great experience. Whether government's for me long term, I'm not sure. It's very rigid environment, and I like to work a bit more flexibly. But yeah, it was definitely a great experience.
Awesome, fantastic. And Nathaniel, what about you? Was it always the plan to work in tech risk consulting?
Completely opposite of Kiam, actually. I kind of fell into consulting. So when I first started uni, Kiam and I did the same degree, had a lot of the same classes, which was a great experience. But my ambitions are more in the corporate finance type area, whether I can't even remember now, it's been so long, but kind of, I don't know, something to do with shares or stocks or, I don't know, accounting, something like that. But yeah, so it came to the final year of my degree, and then I was applying for all, the graduate programs like I'm sure most people do. I got offered a couple different things, but yeah, just my experience interviewing with the EY and, all that kind of got me into that. So yeah, certainly was never expecting to do anything tech related when I started, or even when I got offered the job. I knew nothing about technology. Some say I still don't know much, but I picked up a couple of things over the years. So yeah, it's going good.
That's awesome. How where should we go next? Maybe let's jump into job searching. So I know it was a long time ago. You guys probably haven't had a single ounce of struggle since. I assume, given you've worked at great companies in great roles, people have probably been trying to snap you up. Do you guys get recruiters reaching out to you much on LinkedIn? Is that a thing?
Yes. So for me, I guess especially during the peak of COVID, a lot of technology jobs were like very in demand in Australia. I suppose what typically used to happen, and maybe it does now that COVID's died down a bit, was that a lot of international workers would come in, international students, that type of thing, and perform a lot of these tech roles. But because the supply was, I guess, limited by the migration restrictions and such, technology jobs are really in demand. So as someone that's not really that active on LinkedIn, I was getting reached out to every couple of days, and that's actually how I fell into my current role. So I'd kind of gotten sick of all the LinkedIn recruiters because they can definitely be a certain way of like very direct and not always great to talk to because you just feel like they're looking for a commission. But someone did reach out to me and they seemed interested in my experience and how they thought I could help with the current role. So yeah, I guess I kind of that's how I got my current job. So through a LinkedIn recruiter, went through that process, and yeah, here we are now.
Awesome. What about you, Cam? Do you get much of that? I'm curious.
No, I'm feeling left out now. No love. No, it doesn't really happen for me. With the consulting job, so I was at Premier and Cabinet at an interesting time. There's a change of government in South Australia. That resulted in a change of leadership in the Department of Premier and Cabinet, which resulted in obviously a change in initiatives. So from there, I said, all right, now's the time for consulting. So I basically applied for every consulting job across Australia, which was a lot, but at least the resumes didn't need to change for each one too much. And then my skills were more in demand in Canberra, and there was good opportunity here, so I took that one.
Awesome. And so, if you guys could think back to when you were, students, what would you say were kind of, some of the bigger mistakes, if any, that you made when job searching, or anything? If you could kind of talk to your younger self, any tips? Are there any tips you would give them on that?
Yeah, I can go. Lots. So when I first started looking, if you compare my resume and my applications from when I first started looking to after I started working with you, Mackenzie, you could tell the difference in professionalism. And I followed exactly what the uni's advice was in your kind of, they had some classes and you could get resume help, and I did all that. But just the difference in quality of the resume, of the writing, of the one thing you taught was to go on their website, pull out the key things, bring that into your resume and your cover letter, just small things like that. But the change I would make now is I'm a lot more comfortable just messaging someone on LinkedIn and saying, hey, let's catch up and let's have a chat and let's learn more about your business. And it's more about, it's like if I was ever looking to move, I would probably try and find the place I wanted to go as opposed to let them come to me in a way.
Yeah, and I guess when I was first looking for jobs, kind of, you know, at the beginning of that graduation program application kind of area, my resumes and cover letters and whatnot, you know, thinking about it, they weren't very good. So I had a lot of okay experience that, like, you know, recruiters would like to hear, but I wasn't putting it in a way that kind of presents me in a great light compared to how it could. So one thing I remember that you taught me through the program was, you know, quantify my achievements and my duties and whatnot. So, for example, with that last consulting role I had at EY, instead of saying, you know, I worked with various stakeholders, blah, 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 in projects, I could say, you know, I worked on 40 different projects over 2 years. And that really helps the recruiter go, you know, wow, this guy's got experience. So that was probably one of the main things for me, just improving that and making it more professional. And then, same thing as Kiam just said, you know, reaching out to people, asking for coffee, you know, reaching out to catch up, building that network. That was really helpful as well. And that certainly helped me into my first, you know, role outside of uni.
Awesome. Is there anything else, like, if you could go back, you would change in terms of your approach? Like, would you do anything differently? Would you start anything earlier?
I think for me, I would probably apply those things that I said, and I'd look for, be really much more stronger in trying to get the industry I want. Because looking back on my time with government, it was great experience. But as I said, it's probably not the right environment for me with just how rigid the environment is. So I'd probably apply the kind of reach out and learning more to the industries that really interested me, you know? Like, one thing that's always stuck in my head that Warren Buffett always said is you want to be tap dancing to work. So you want to find a place that you absolutely love to work, in an industry that you absolutely love and a job type you absolutely love. And taking the long road there is fine, but it's going to be a nicer journey if you can take a shorter trip.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So in short, jumping into consulting, ideally just a lot quicker.
Yeah, into an industry where there's a lot of variety, a lot of really important problems needing solved. That's the sort of stuff that stimulates me mentally. And I'd really want to be targeting that. But obviously it takes time to learn what you need and what you like sometimes as well.
There's a couple of things, there's a few things I distinctly remember about both of you guys, but one about you, Kiam, is you had this, I always remember it, it was like a statement for kind of what you wanted to do in the world. It was like almost a purpose statement. I don't know if you remember what it was. It was something about giving value, the greatest value, or something like that. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember it as well? Yeah, and everything
I remember this
you
from
were
Kiam.
doing was kind of targeted around this. What was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's been a while. It was dedicating myself to the greatest economic value I can give to society. So, what stimulates me is solving problems that create impact. And if you're not doing that, or the vision from what you're doing to that is too disjointed, it's really hard for me to stay engaged, I think. Where I think the opportunity cost of me doing something else could be greater.
Did you end up putting together like a vision of where you wanted to be and kind of where you saw yourself? Was that how that came in?
Yeah. I think we did that exercise from memory, but there's been a few times in my life where you do those sorts of exercises and, the 20 questions, why do you want this, but why, but why, but why, but why, and you ask yourself that 20 times in a row to try and get to the root cause of exactly intrinsically what it is you want. So that exercise generally leads me to that same place.
Yeah. Awesome. How important would you say that is to people watching? Is it worthwhile, figuring out where they want to be and painting that picture and figuring out what really drives them, or should they just not bother with that stuff?
I think it's the number one thing. You can't always get exactly where you want to go straight away, and sometimes you've got to take the long road around. But like I said, a life well lived is a life doing something you love. And if you're not doing something you love, then it's going to be a difficult one.
Awesome. Nathaniel, I feel like you were going to say something there before.
I wasn't. I mean, yeah, like I guess on what Kiam said, just taking stock and figuring out what you want to do and what makes you want to do that, kind of a root cause analysis type of thing. I can't say I did that during my uni time, or at least not till maybe my last year. Like that was something where I was probably struggling a bit for direction, where like I just didn't stop and go, what are you good at? What do you like doing? What's the purpose for what, why you want to do it? What drives you to get out of bed every day and, blah, blah, blah. So like, that's something I didn't do. And that's something was probably my one regret from uni. Like, I had a pretty good experience, all other things. I just probably wish I decided a little bit earlier, or at least I took the time to figure it out. Because, I was kind of just like, even kind of going towards my last year, like, I guess this would be a cool, job role. But like, I didn't know why I wanted to do it. Or I didn't know, what about the role, kind of attracted me to it. So yeah, I guess I got quite lucky that I'm in something I really enjoy doing now. But like that could have been, a lot easier if I knew that, in my first year or my second year, not kind of realizing that towards the end of my, uni time.
It seems like based on my recollection of your story, it seems like it almost found you.
Yeah, it definitely did. So, I mean, there's every chance that I would have gotten into this type of thing one way or another. But even when I did my interview, so I interviewed at EY, and I was interviewing for a risk management consulting role. I think that's what I applied for. It's been a long time. But I actually interviewed with the guys that did the technology risk. And I really liked talking to them. I really liked hearing from them. And then a couple of days later, the manager, his name was Cliff, he rang me and said, Nathaniel, I'd like you to come work in my department. And even after that, I met up with him maybe a week later for a coffee just to chat. And I basically asked him, well, why did you hire me? I know nothing about technology. And he said, I just think you'd be a good fit. And thankfully he was right. So yeah, I definitely fell into it, but I guess just knowing what I know about myself now, I probably would have found myself in this kind of area one way or another.
I've got an interesting question for you, Nathaniel. What
Shoot.
What role did gaming play in your job search?
God, I don't play games anymore.
Oh, really?
I've gotten too old. I
No
really,
way.
really. I don't know. I think it's, it was just a hobby of mine, and I really enjoyed doing it. I really enjoyed what I got out of it. And I mean, I don't think it strictly helped me. Like, I guess I knew a little bit more about technology as a result, but like, what I knew then doesn't translate to what I'm doing now. So I'm not sure it helped me heaps. It was just just a hobby, and yeah, I mean, it was definitely a good unique kind of resume point as well that I did all that kind of stuff, because I was really fortunate. I got to travel a bit doing that kind of thing a few years ago now, and yeah, so I mean that kind of stuff was great to talk about, and what characteristics of people make someone good in the workplace that did all that stuff. So yeah, I think there were helpful elements, but yeah, I mean, I can't say I use my gaming knowledge every day in a technology role.
The reason I ask is I remember, and this is just my recollection, it's been a while,
Sure.
when we were looking at the resume, I didn't realize that you had some really good experience in like managing a team of gamers, basically, to win.
Yeah.
And
Actually, I completely forgot I did that. That's how long it's been. But yeah, for sure. I mean, there's management experience there, and I guess for a company with a big consulting branch like EY, that's something that looks really good. And I suppose if I didn't take the time to speak with you and flesh that out, what goes into a good manager versus what goes into a good consultant at a Big Four, there are a lot of similarities, but I wasn't really putting that experience to connecting it correctly, and that's probably one thing that was making me struggle initially when it came to the graduate job search. Like, I had all this good experience. I'd done some internships. My grades weren't great, but they were okay. Did some stuff at work that was like pretty cool, but I didn't know how to connect all that stuff. And so my resume is probably just getting auto filtered out because I wasn't standing out, or I didn't have the good points that people wanted to hear. So when I was able to connect that and put that on a resume, I noticed straight away from the first couple of job applications I did, I was getting a lot more hits. So my hit rate for getting an interview was probably about, I don't know what the percentage was, but it wasn't high. And then it at least doubled as soon as I was able to do that. So yeah, that was really helpful.
it's something I distinctly remember about you. It wasn't on your resume, and then when you told me about it, I was just blown away. I was thinking, wow, this guy, like, I don't remember how old you were back then, but super young, is like, managing this team to fly around the world and do these gaming tournaments and win loads of money, and it wasn't on your resume. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of what made you stand out when you interviewed with EY.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely could have been. It's going back maybe even over 4 years now, but I would have been like 19, 20. And I suppose, yeah, compared to the normal, 19, 20-year-old doing whatever they do, I guess that's an interesting point and something that makes a recruiter want to go, I want to hear more from this guy. So yeah, it was something I wasn't thinking about because I was just kind of like, oh, it's a video game, no one cares about that in the workplace. But it's not so much about that. It's about, the skills you take from that and the skills, you need to be successful in that environment. So yeah, for sure, that was something really helpful.
It's funny you guys both ended up at EY. I just realised that.
Sure is.
What was that?
No, it sure is. It sure is. Yeah, different times, unfortunately. We didn't get to be EY colleagues, but yeah, both in the Big Four, as well as you. Not EY, but KPMG. So
Not EY, but
bit of this, bit of that.
yeah, it's funny. I remember. I don't know if you remember when we used to catch up. We were consulting.
You were working at the uni, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
think
that.
I can say that. That should be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were basically doing a consulting project nearby, and I'd kind of just stay back after work, after we were done, and we'd just catch up. It was quite funny. The uni, I think the uni was pretty much empty, and we were just sitting at those tables where everyone usually sits during the day.
Yeah, I definitely remember that. Yeah, you'd finish working at that nearby undisclosed location, and I'd come up and we'd have a chat. It was really good.
Ah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
A few years ago now.
Yeah. I mean, then we caught up for that. Was it a schnitty? When you guys got your jobs? Was it a schnitzel? I can't remember. There was that pub nearby. Do you remember?
Was it Mitcham? I remember this, yeah.
Near the old Kiam's old gym.
Yeah, I was a TA on it.
Yeah.
God, I haven't been there in a while.
Wow. There's so much I could ask. Well, if you guys were going kind of back in time to when you were a student or a graduate, what would you have asked yourselves? What would you have asked, a management consultant at EY or a tech consultant at Walters Kluwer?
What's Kluwer?
Yeah.
That's a great question. I mean, I guess the main question: what drives you to do it? What do you really enjoy about management consulting or technology risk or technology itself? Anything like that. Everyone's wired a bit differently. They've all got different aspirations and different motivations behind them. Just hearing from management consultants, for example, where I kind of started. What do you actually enjoy doing about it? And then when they give you that natural cookie cutter answer of I just like helping people. Digging deeper and kind of figuring out what about that keeps them going. So that for me, that is probably what I'd ask.
So Kiam.
Yes.
I think Nathaniel's just asked you a question.
You've asked me a question, Nathaniel.
What do you like doing about the job, Kiam?
My job?
At Ernst & Young, yeah.
I like solving big, difficult problems in a team environment. Do you want to dig deeper or not?
Yeah, go on. What about the team? What about the team? Do you enjoy working with? Why don't you like working by yourself?
Wow.
This is an ad for EY, by the way. Like this could.
Yeah, I know.
We'll tag them.
I'm asking a lot of questions here, Kiam.
No, it's good. I'll go away and come back. My advice is to be as inquisitive as possible about any questions you have and you want answered, which is what Nathaniel's doing right now. So what I like about the teams, for example, it's very mixed teams. I was just thrown back with the resumes of some of the people that you work with. So one project I was working with pretty closely with a former 3-star and closely with a 1-star. And you're kind of sitting next to each other each day doing the job. And then all the people at your level are really driven. And I like that environment where everyone is really pushing themselves to get the best outcome, but work together collaboratively. The projects that you work on, especially in the Canberra office, are often very significant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really exciting, I find. So, yes, those are my answers.
And I have a question, a follow-up question. Asking better questions here. Do you do hot desking in Canberra?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think EY does hot desking everywhere.
Probably. I mean, they did in Adelaide, but I hadn't been to another office. My question, or my statement from that, or I should say, I found that was really good for building a good culture of teamwork and collaboration. Just because one day you could be sitting next to the partner, and next day you could be sitting next to someone that's got even less experience than you. And that's really cool. There's always different people you can talk to and different projects to hear about. So even though you've got your hands in a few different pies with different projects, you definitely get to hear about what other people are doing and see how they work together. And that definitely helps develop your skills and your knowledge, and I think it makes for a better team.
Yeah, I do really like the flexibility. So this week I could choose to work 4 days from home. I could go into the client office one day, the EY office one day, and then from home 2 days. I could go back to Adelaide and work from Adelaide for 4 days. I could go to Brisbane and work from Brisbane for the week. It's super flexible like that, which is really awesome.
Yeah, definitely my experience. That was something I really liked as well. So when I first started at EY, we're kind of in the midst of the pandemic. Like it just started. So initially it was very full-time from home, but after that, people relaxed a lot with their flexibility. So I think from my understanding before COVID, it was very much, you can work from home if you're sick or something like that, but you should be in the office. But it transitions a lot to like, if you want to do a couple of days in the office, a couple of days at home, you can do that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that as well.
I've got a question for you guys.
That's why we're here.
What was that?
That's why we're here.
That's why I'm here. So, how has a failure or an apparent failure set you up for success later on? Or another way to think about this is your favorite failure, if there is one.
I can go first if you want.
Yeah.
Go for it.
In my corporate career, so the work we did with Department of Premier and Cabinet for 12 months straight, we were heads down, worked really hard, kind of mapped out this whole journey of transitioning the South Australian government from what it is to a future customer experience focused government where every process was digitised, etc. And then with the change in government and change in leadership, we were pretty much just told straight away to shut it all down. So that was pretty tough to just give up a year's worth of work, move on. But that was the catalyst for me moving into EY and into these really cool projects. So I can't be too upset about it. The experience and the exposure it gave me working with, senior executives and chief executives and having that bird's eye view of government from the Premier's department. So kind of felt like a failure at the time. There was all those thoughts of if we did this and got this rolling, they couldn't have cancelled, like all that sort of stuff came up. But yeah, that's probably my corporate failure to success.
Awesome. What about you, Nathaniel?
In terms of, I guess, my corporate career, I can't think of a massive failure, but look, you make mistakes every single day, there's, especially in more complex roles, there's always a lot of things you can mess up. And it's more about how do you actually respond to that failure, rather than the failure itself. Because I think, obviously your work has high expectations of you, but they understand that you're humans as well. So it's more about, if you make a mistake, you identify it and fix it rather than, getting mad at you that you made a mistake. One failure I can think of, not actually in my corporate time, but in uni, I failed a topic. So complete mistake. It was called international finance. Kiam might remember this. And it was a pretty easy topic. Like, I shouldn't be saying that as someone that failed, but it wasn't the hardest topic. It was a bit like, converting currencies and stuff like that. Really wasn't anything too complicated. But the way they did the grading was that the grade was like 40% from your exam, and that's not even that high from that standards. But you had to pass the exam. Doesn't matter what your grades were. Other than that, and I got something like a 49% in my exam, and I walked out of that exam before I got the grade, thinking I'd smashed that. And so that really kind of shook me because I wasn't expecting it, and it kind of made me evaluate and go, well, I really shouldn't coast topics if you can fail any topic, right? So yeah, I studied for the I can't remember what it's called, but the retaking of the exam, and did fine in that, and I never made that mistake again. So yeah, just trying to be relaxed but not too relaxed is a big thing I took from that. You can fail anything, and you'll fail a lot of things. It's just what are you going to do once you do fail? And then just responding in a positive manner from that.
I've got another question for you. So,
Go on.
if there was someone who, say they wanted to work at your company, your firm, and they really wanted to, get you out to a coffee, have a coffee with you, what would they have to do? How would they impress you?
Sorry. Like someone that wanted to work in my company or someone that does work in my company?
Who wants to?
Wants to? Oh, look, just message me, be nice, show interest. I guess a cool message is always welcome. I'd happily respond.
Sorry, okay, it's recording again now. Sorry, it just dropped out. But please, carry on with what you were saying. That was great. Referral codes.
Referral code Hutton for 15% off.
How much? What's the percent?
Hutton Jobs.
Did we agree to that? I'm not sure about that.
We were saying that Nathaniel and I were your first two, I guess, test customers for Grad Jobs.
Yeah.
And
yeah, pretty much.
the whole enterprise boomed from there.
It has.
Yeah. It's the Garden of
And
Eden.
question,
We have a question for you.
if we
Yeah.
failed to get a job, would you have continued with Grad Jobs, or would you have said your MVP was a failure?
Well, actually, fun fact, there are 3 of you.
Who's the third? Wow.
Ah, the third
I feel like I've
person.
been cheated on.
It's a she. And yeah, but she was also very successful. She works in accounting. So, yeah, I don't know. I would have just probably kept going. Honestly, it's very weird starting a business. Especially when you're doing something which isn't a cookie cutter proven model. Like if you're running a cafe, it's like, well, I know what a cafe is, and I just kind of open it, and if there's no people coming, then it's probably my fault, and maybe I'll fix that and do some marketing or find a better location or improve the product. But with this, I was at a point for like at the start where I honestly had no idea if it would work. It was in the mix. And I was thinking about it and testing it for like, before I met you guys, probably at least like 18 months to a year, 2 years before that. I was thinking about it, trying things, seeing how it could work, and yeah. And then I thought, how a lot of people start a business, they'll do basically an MVP, like test it. If it works, you've got case studies and testimonials to back you. So yeah, I probably would have kept going though, at some point.
So Nathaniel, how do you feel about being an MVP?
Most valuable player.
Stable.
Most valuable
Pretty
player.
stable.
Yeah.
I'm employed, so I guess it worked. Mackenzie, I have a question for you.
Oh,
If you could talk to yourself from 4 years ago, what would you tell them when you were starting Grad Jobs?
If I could
And
tell
how do you think you've improved your offerings in those 4 years?
two questions at once.
Absolutely.
That's challenging
Yeah.
my brain now. What did I tell myself 4 years ago? Was it that long ago? Yeah, it would have been.
Over 4 years.
When did we first meet?
I think it was like February 2019, something like that.
Yeah,
Very early 2019. A long time ago now.
Then voice. Funny thing, Kiam, I was looking at my emails. I was looking for your email, and I typed in Kiam into my Gmail, and it took me back to one of our first emails, and I saw your resume, and our feedback with the resume is so funny.
Oh God.
Anyway, that's probably what triggered me to reach out to you guys actually for this podcast. I think there's a lot of advice I would tell myself. I think one of the biggest things would be stop caring about what everyone else thinks. That's the biggest thing for me, because I was, I really liked my job at KPMG, and I liked working, but ultimately I always wanted to run a business. But I was worried about what people would think, if it failed, and if I didn't make much money, and doing something a bit different, and people would always tell me, oh, just get a job, don't take it, don't be risky, most businesses fail. And then posting on social media is another example of that. Don't post on social media, people are going to judge you, but it's it's the best decision I ever made, starting Grad Jobs and just doing what I wanted to do and following my, I guess sounds kind of cliche, but just kind of my heart. I just knew I wanted to do it. And I've loved every moment pretty much since. Kiam, we actually had when was it? I think there was kind of a bit of a rocky patch. Like after I had, I started Grad Jobs, but I was kind of still building it up and figuring out how to market it. And we had a coffee. So kind of early on at that point, it wasn't smooth sailing is what I'm trying to say. Like, it was kind of like, it's hard growing a business, especially with the cash flow thing, and figuring out what you really want to do and what business is going to make you excited and motivated. Anyway, long answer, but yeah, stop caring what everyone else thinks. Ultimately, you only live one life, and I just didn't want to regret mine, so I just did it.
I think that's a great answer. And just on that, one thing I've learned over my time in corporate career is, is a bit similar to that, not caring what everyone thinks. If you want to do something that you're passionate about, and I've got some side hustles that I'm passionate about, but if you want to pause what you're doing and do that full time, even if it doesn't work out, you can go back to another job and just say you've tried it. So I suppose a lot of businesses fail in their first year, and there's every possibility that yours might not have gone so well. You're very successful now, but you obviously don't know when you start. You can always pause and just try it. And if you don't like it, or if it doesn't work or anything, you've at least tried, right? That's a lot better of an outcome than wondering your whole life what could have been if you took the plunge and did that, right? So yeah, I think that's really commendable. I think that's great, Mackenzie.
Yeah, it's funny. One thing that really impacted me, and Kiam, you're probably all over this, given your Warren Buffett tap dancing quotes.
Oh.
But Jeff Bezos, the regret minimization framework he talks about. Have you heard of that? No? Nathaniel?
I think I'm about to hear about it, but not yet.
You're seeing the future, I think.
I'd love to hear about it.
It's pretty simple. Basically, he makes decisions. Obviously, partially it's based on just logic. This is better than this. But one of the big ways he makes decisions is he asks himself, which one would I regret the most? And supposedly even at Amazon, when he was making business decisions, he would ask himself which one would he regret the most and decide based on that. And that's really helped me. That's one of the biggest fears I have, being, coming to the end of my life and going, well, why didn't I just have a crack? Even if I fail, what's the worst case? You fail, at least you had a crack. You know what I mean?
So I'll throw another Warren Buffett quote in at this moment.
What? Should we just do a Warren Buffett podcast?
Yeah, I reckon. He said the biggest mistakes that he's made in his career are mistakes of omission. So it's the things he didn't do rather than the things he did do that went wrong.
Yeah.
Which is very true.
Definitely. It's a fear-based decision making kind of framework versus a desire-based, I suppose.
Nathaniel, who's your famous person, and what quote did they say? It's your turn.
And it can't be
Bezos or Buffett.
That's a shame, because I had a lot of quotes for both of those fine fellows. Inspirational quote. My good friend once said he wants to dedicate himself to the greatest possible economic value he can provide. I can't remember his name, but I mean that's absolutely something, being serious, I've followed. Just kind of deciding what I want to do in my life and what I enjoy doing that helps the most people as well. So Yeah, whoever that guy was, I'd shout him one day because definitely something I've used.
I could have sworn you were about to say funding secured 420.
Oh, we didn't even cover that. We didn't
Mr.
even
Musk.
cover... Oh, sorry, no, we didn't even cover your startup.
Mine.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's going all right. We got into the Melbourne Accelerator program. We finished that. We've got a decent amount of revenue coming in. Team of 8. So a lot are from Indonesia. So one of the co-founders is Indonesian, so he manages a team over there. So future's looking bright. Just gotta see what happens.
What's the can you share any more info on the biz? What it is and what it does?
Yeah, you want the plug? So it's vimy.com.au. Anyone out there that wants videos for their company, basically traditional agency model. If you want a professional video, you work with them on the creative, takes a few weeks, then they'll come in and shoot and then do the post-production, which also takes a few weeks. So what we've done is completely remove the creative part by templating things, working with freelancers to shoot. So they come in straight away, and then we've got our editing team. So we've brought the price. So for a basic video from agencies, you're looking at $4,000 to $5,000. We've brought that down to 500, and the turnaround time is from 4 weeks to 1 week. So we've got some tech plans to get that turnaround time down to 60 minutes in the future, but we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. So that's vimy.com.au, right?
Yeah, plug. And Nathaniel, your side hustles? Do you want to give a plug?
Referral code.
Yeah, what's the referral code? 15% off.
Thompson 100.
You guys, yeah. If you bring someone in, we'll give you 10% of everything they order for the next 6 months. There you go.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
No worries.
Right. I want to give you all the profit. I won't. It's fine. It's all good.
That's all right.
What's your startup?
my startup. Thought you'd never ask. I'm not actually sure I can say this on a podcast because it's not fully kosher. I'm sure it's fine.
Okay. Maybe
I play and coach poker.
Nice.
Hopefully that's not bad. So I kind of fell into that around early 2019. Actually, I was doing a lot as it turns out around that time. I've been really fortunate to have some success with that. So certainly nice to bring in some extra income. Move up kind of the stakes. It's certainly a bit different of an environment than you'd see on movies. So less guns, more cards. But yeah, I've really enjoyed doing that. And I mean, it's a similar kind of thing to what you said about not caring what other people think. It's not something everyone approves of. I don't think it's that weird in modern society. But it's not a normal thing every person does. And I guess my thing with that, which I'm really proud of, is that if I didn't have a job tomorrow, I'd be okay. I'd be able to do that and have no issues long term. That's really cool. And I've certainly been able to take some skills that I've learned in my corporate career and in uni and really apply that. So yeah, it's been really good. I'm really enjoying doing it. But we'll see what the future holds and see what happens from there. But yeah, it's something I'm certainly proud of, even though I'm not, posting on LinkedIn because, obviously it's a little obscure.
That's awesome. Respect.
Thanks.
It's awesome how you both, you're both super entrepreneurial as well. Maybe we should,
So Mackenzie, Steve Jobs and others famously said that people should drop out of uni and do a business. You coach people to stay with uni and get jobs. Which pathway do you reckon they should go to?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, what I I believe, just after talking to lots of people, is some people are built differently to other people. I think some people like the structure of having a job that's kind of safe, consistent. They know what they're getting themselves into. It's kind of comfortable. They get a good work-life balance, and they get asked, to follow certain processes and steps, and they love it. And the thought of running a business that's really kind of complex and risky and has ups and downs and is really challenging and can be stressful potentially, especially as their only source of income, through entrepreneurship, it makes them, their hair stand on end. So, and then there are other people, like probably us, who kind of thrive off all of that, that entrepreneurial environment. So I think my diplomatic answer is figure out what is the right fit for you. And if you haven't tried both, then try both and see which one fits. But a lot of my clients as well, I guess you two are kind of an example of that. They want to get a job to start, but the end goal is always to be an entrepreneur, because they know that it's in some cases it's less risky and a better pathway getting paid from someone to effectively get trained, say at KPMG or EY, reducing your risk and building credibility before jumping into something like that. So yeah, that's my answer. Does that satisfy you?
Yeah. No. Good.
Good answer.
I love it though. Like I've enjoyed pretty much every day of my life since I started Grad Jobs. Whereas before, I would enjoy most of it, but just kind of feel like something was missing inside of me a lot of the time, and I didn't quite know what it was. But it's something about having the freedom to kind of, what's the word? Create your own path versus following a path. It's quite fun. What do you guys think, though? I know you guys have to go now. But last question: what do you like more? No, I won't ask you that. That's not appropriate. We don't want that to be on the podcast. What do you guys think about business? Do you have any long-term plans for entrepreneurial side of things? That you can share?
Yeah, I think I align very strongly to your answer, and that people should find what gives them joy and do that. And for different people, it's different pathways. So yeah, I think I'm just pretty similar to your point of view on it all.
I think I would struggle if I did nothing on the side, regardless of what it was. I just enjoy having a long-term goal, even if it's not strictly attainable, to just strive for that. I think the cool thing about like a side hustle or a side business or whatnot, you have the capability to do that in addition to your job or whatever. So you could certainly do both or neither, or just one. And I think that's a really cool thing. Just the flexibility it gets. No one job is stable forever necessarily. So I think having that diversification of your skill sets, you can either take another job or you can go on your own. That's really cool. But yeah, I think different paths for everyone. People have different goals and aspirations, and what they want to do with their life. So I think Steve Jobs is probably wrong. There's nothing wrong with doing a regular uni to a corporate job, or no uni to whatever other job, or you can go out on your own. There's diversity.
100%. Either way, I think sales and marketing is critical. So learn that. All right.
Agreed.
I know you guys have to go now. Any final tips, piece of advice, things you wanted to say to people watching? Any plugs you want to make? Any Twitter handles you want to throw in there?
I've got an anonymous Twitter with 1 follower, so probably shouldn't share that. Just to
I'd love to
look
see
through everything.
your following list.
Yeah. Probably don't want that one.
I could probably guess a few of them.
Yeah, it definitely could. Nah, probably just, I don't know. It's good to...
Warren Buffett and that, you know?
Warren Buffett. Steve Jobs. Oh, wait. Not Steve
Have you
Jobs.
seen? There's sorry, real quick. There's a new video out, and it's a podcast between Joe Rogan and Sam Altman, but both of them are AI models trained with the footage from both of them, and it's a 60-minute podcast.
Where is
So
that?
you know,
Is that on YouTube?
I'll find it and link it. But you could follow Steve Jobs on Twitter these days if you want to. That's what I'm saying. Probably.
Wow. Awesome.
Anyway, Nathaniel, sorry, your turn.
So who's Nathan? Final thoughts from me. I don't have any plugs or shout-outs. I would just say, you know, there's a lot of options in life. If something doesn't work out when you're 19, 20, 21, when you're finishing uni, that's all right. Try your best, get up from your mistakes, and yeah, I think long run, if you keep doing the right things overall, you'll always find success. So just keep applying yourself.
And join Grad Jobs.
And join Grad Jobs, yeah, 15% off. Referral code in the link description.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'll put the podcast, the AI podcast, in the chat, Mackenzie. If you want to show your audience, feel free.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No worries.
And thanks, guys. Appreciate your time as always. Have a good one. Keep in touch.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it. See you later.